So I talked a little bit about this VR mission already. This is definitely the hardest one for me. It's not particularly hard just to beat it, but to get an S rank, definitely. Now, like I said, the majority of the enemies in this one are UGs, so it's fairly easy to go for the no-kill bonus. In fact, there are only like 2 waves out of 5 or something like this, something like that. They actually have cyborgs in them. And there's that wall counter I spoke about. So the main problem with getting S rank on this is just getting the required amount of kills. Entirely, it seems, because there are some enemies that can be easily killed by friendly fire, the Striders and the Dwarf Geckos. Mainly the Striders. So yeah, doing the no-kill bonus kind of makes up for that. If you accidentally miss a kill somehow, which I think is a silly thing to happen in a game that ranks you on how well you do. And in fact, I think if there is a sequel to this game, one thing that they could do to really help improve it is changing the ranking system. Because really I think it would work better if it were closer to the Beautiful Joe / Bayonetta scoring system, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's just basically time, your combo score, and how much damage you took. I don't think it has to be exactly like that, but like for Rising you have time, BP, combos, Zandatsu, and kills. And I feel like BP, Zandatsu, and combo could all kind of just be combined into just BP, kind of like score. Because all of those things do get you score, you just change up how the scoring works for that. Make that maybe a little more complex. I don't know. Maybe give more of a reason to do multiple Zandatsus at once. Like a multiplier for a score or something. If you get 3 spines all at once in your sword, so you get a greater score than just doing them one at a time. You could probably go further with getting bonus points for cutting off limbs and all that. Maybe give more enemies different reasons to cut off different parts of them. Go further with the cutting mechanic. I don't know, that sounds like it could be neat, maybe. I don't know, I suppose you could add in it scoring how much damage you've taken, but not make it like... the 2 Venom Jerichos spawn after you take out the first 2 Mastiffs, which can be kind of hard to deal with when there's that one Mastiff still hanging around. Venom Jerichos don't act too differently though, so you can still easily bait them into dashing into you. And thankfully, that other Venom Jericho was like right next to me, so when I kicked the first one, the other one also got kicked and set up for Zandatsu. But yeah, for like taking damage, I feel like instead of like with Bayonetta, for damage, you would only get a platinum medal if you took 0 damage, and you would get a gold if you took very little. I feel it could be a little more forgiving for Metal Gear Rising, maybe, because there are enemies with guns, and you can easily get nicked. So instead, maybe, like, give you the max 1,000 points for taking very little damage, so getting nicked by a few bullets doesn't ruin your rank, and then still leave in that bonus for taking no damage. I don't know. I don't make video games. So we're on yet another wave. This is the one with the Striders that can sometimes accidentally be killed by the Hammerhead, just because there are times where it will fire lots of missiles at you. And sometimes it'll hit the Striders and make them blow up. Also, if there's one enemy I do think could be changed up a little so they are a little more balanced, it would be the Striders. It's entirely because of that attack where they fly at you and ram into you. Sometimes they do it from off-screen on the higher difficulties, and it's hard to know that they're going to do that because they don't really have any, like, audible sound cue for it. Like, they kind of do. You can hear their jets charging up, but, like, everything they do makes that noise. So it's hard to judge whether or not, oh, are they just flying around, are they hovering, or are they about to ram into me? So when you're taking out the dogs, if all of their limbs have been weakened, even if their torso isn't weakened, just cutting all of them off in blade mode will pretty frequently weaken the torso enough for you to Zandatsu them. Man, that tackle. There we go. But yeah, Sam's Stinger is pretty good for launching dudes because even if it's a heavier one, as long as their limbs are weakened, it'll pretty much always launch them, and none of the enemies can really block it at all. I think it might actually be like 6 waves. But you got Raptors. Raptors aren't too bad. One good thing with the charge attacks is if you're charging up an attack and you can see that an enemy is going to hit you before you finish charging, you can just let go of the button and the normal attack will come out, and pretty frequently the normal attack will stun them or knock them out of their attack somehow. Like with that Raptor earlier, it was jumping at me, I let go of the charges button, and was able to knock them out of the air. I could taunt these dudes to kill them a bit faster, or rather a lot faster, but the time requirement for this mission is really lenient, and I had already tried recording this VR mission multiple times, and I just want to be really careful. And this guy isn't taunted, he's just doing that thing raptors do where they get really mad if they see another raptor explode. They don't take any extra damage, they just do more damage and they take less. Got lots of dwarf geckos, it's best just to taunt them, because then you can just run around and poke them, and they're done. Taunted dwarf geckos aren't much of a threat either. They just look goofy. So you probably noticed, like in that elevator fight in the previous video, there is one enemy type I have a bit of trouble with Sam, and that's the longsword men. Just because I'm so used to parrying them with Raiden. And Sam's parry isn't as good, and it does make parrying their sword attacks significantly harder. It's still doable, but man. And now it's the final wave. It's that mini-boss grad that I was talking about. Grads are really fast in Sam's DLC, including their attacks. Like, he had that attack there that was basically normal speed, but he can also do another one that's way faster, and that's usually what I get hit by. The other problem with grads is just that they skate away so much that it can be a little difficult to get any worthwhile charge attacks in. And it's dangerous to taunt them just because, you know, they have that attack right there and it's hard to dodge through it. And if I taunt them, I'm going to start taking damage from it, even if I parry it. Also, its cannon is really dangerous because once it hits you, it fires off multiple times, and if you get hit with it once, it'll stun you, and it can then hit you multiple times. You can get out of the stun before the second cannon volley hits you. It's just, you have a short frame of time where you can actually dodge out of it. Once it skates away, I find it better to just... oh man. Roll forward at him. Because just trying to ninja run means you might get nailed right in the face with a cannon fire. Very low on health, but I wouldn't die even if I lost that because I've got my nano paste equipped. I made sure to do that. I would just use up a nano paste instead. Thankfully, you don't have to take out all of the grad's health. Once it gets below 10%, you can set him up for an execution. Like this. Thank God. That grad is hard, you guys.